Hey guys, be sure to press like and subscribe. Today we're going to talk about the biggest expat letdowns. You know, when I first come here, we had a lot of freedoms here. And a lot of those freedoms have gone over the past year and 3 months. And I still look back at those years and try to think back to like problems that I had. And we didn't have many problems back then. I mean, we did, but they were minor issues. A lot of people think like when you come over here, you're going to have problems with crime. You're going to have problems with people and stuff like that. I really was pretty lucky and blessed that when I come over here, I didn't have too many issues because of, you know, everything that I had planned already. But the biggest letdowns that I've had here has probably been with food service at McDonald's, and sometimes the poverty here. Walking around, having people constantly bug you for money up in Manila or something like that. In my town, it's pretty good. I don't have too many people bothering me for money in Tracy. Very few. Maybe if I go to SM, I probably get bothered by 1 or 2 people at the most. At the most. Compared to Manila, you get pretty much bothered all the time up there for, you know, a peso or whatever, or 10 pesos, or can you give me 100 pesos or 50 pesos or whatever. They're constantly asking you for money. They got their hand out and stuff like that. I don't mind people asking me for money, but when it gets to be like a regular routine, it gets to be a bit of a pain sometimes, and it just gets very bothersome. And, you know, I didn't come over here to just be throwing money at people. I help people on my own. That's one of the things that does bother me is people bugging me for money. I rather give it to them when I see that there's a need rather than have people, bother me for it. Sometimes there's a few people in the family that bother us for money. Not too much, just very, very little. Just 1 or 2 people, actually 2 people in the family that I can think of have actually bothered me for money. And that's it. Other than that, we don't get bothered too much by that. But the thing over here that bothers me is like when you go to SM Market or any supermarket over here, with the exception of SNR and places like that, the quality of the food and the different types of food there, they don't really have any things like Western style food much there. It's all Asian food. So when you go in there, for the most part, unless you're going to get a box of cereal, Kellogg's or something like that, other than that, there's not that many Western foods in there. Some places it's very hard to get hamburger. Yeah, hamburger. It's hard to get in some supermarkets, and the hamburger that you get there, it's kind of like a lower quality. It doesn't taste as good as the burgers that we have back home. Just something that I noticed. Milk. There's another thing over here. You don't get fresh milk because it comes in these boxes that are good for about 6 months or a year, and it's ultra pasteurized. So in other words, you can put it in a box, put it on top of your refrigerator, and it doesn't even need to be refrigerated until you open it. Then you have to refrigerate it. And does the milk taste the same? I get the Nestle brand, and I'm pretty lucky that tastes very similar. I use it in my cereal, so maybe the cereal kind of hides any strange taste. But some of the other ones are sweetened. It seems like it tastes like the milk is sweetened, and I just don't go for that. So I usually go for the Nestle brand. It doesn't taste sweetened. It tastes just like regular milk, I think. I've drank the milk in a glass before and had cookies with it, and it wasn't too bad. It was good, as long as it's refrigerated. Hospital care. Hospital care over here is a big thing for me. I didn't like the first time I went to the hospital here, that the hospital I went to first, it was not De La Salle University, it was a different one here in Tracy. It was kind of dirty. And to stay there, I walked into the bathroom and I almost felt like leaving then, just because the bathroom was so filthy. It wasn't a clean bathroom, and it wasn't well taken care of for a hospital. And I just kind of felt like let down by the hospital care here. Now, De La Salle University Hospital, I think that their hospital care is pretty up to snuff there. I haven't been in one of the rooms, but I was on their ward there for a while, their COVID ward, when I had the stones there, and I felt like it was very clean there. I was very happy that the place was clean and nice, and I felt it was up to my standards. I felt very at home there, and I felt like I was getting good service from the doctors. So that was not really like too much of a letdown for me as much as the other hospital that I went to. You know, one of the other things around here is the lack of cab service. Some places have cab service or Grab or, you know, things like that, and some places don't. Okay, our area has Grab, but it costs a lot more because they have to drive from someplace else to pick you up and then take you back. So they might even come all the way down from Manila sometimes to pick you up, or near Manila, you know, to come pick you up here and take you back. But, you know, that's all going to be figured into the cost. And that's okay because most of the charges are pretty reasonable. But you can hop on a bus here for just a few bucks and go up to Manila in an air-conditioned bus. When there is no ECQ or GCQ, it's pretty easy to, you know, get a nice bus ride. But when we don't have the quarantines, it's one of the things that I don't like is going on the bus during rush hour, because they pack that bus like full. When I say full, I mean full. You can, if you're in the back of the bus and you need to get out of that bus in 10 minutes, it's going to take you 30 minutes to just get to the front of the bus. You know, and there's no way you're going to make it out on time. And the guy will just keep on driving. So it's up to you to get back then. You know, and I'm sure that happens to people on there. You know, I mean, it's just tough bananas. You know, it's just a way of life. But I don't mind the jeepneys here so much. It's the smog on the jeepneys. That's another thing that kind of, you know, has bothered me as an expat over here. I'm sure it bothers other expats. Is the amount of pollution over here. And not just that, the amount of pollution in the water here. The sheer amount of pollution in the water, in the fresh water, I should say. In the streams, you'll see it. People just throw their trash there. And that's a big thing here that I notice is a lot of Filipinos have this bad habit of just throwing trash anywhere. And they figure, well, I'll just clean it up tomorrow. And then maybe they'll come out and clean it up, maybe they won't. And I notice, like, we'll clean up our yard out here, and some of the other tenants out here will just throw their trash right on the ground. Like, they don't even care after you just cleaned it up. You know, and you feel like saying something to them, and you know, but what are you going to do? You have to live with these people, you know. Some of the other things here is I notice, like, the poorer people here will, this is something that kind of bothers me sometimes. They'll walk down to your house, wherever you are, and they'll try to hit you up for money or bottles or something like that. And sometimes some of the vendors and stuff will come down to your house early in the morning trying to sell bread or things like that. And you can hear them, you know, yelling, selling their goods, which I'm kind of okay with. But, you know, it is kind of a bother when you're trying to sleep in the morning and it's early in the morning, say, you know, 7:30, 8 o'clock or what have you. You know, it just can be a bother sometime, you know. And some of the other things around here that bothers me is karaoke machines. That's the biggest one, you know. But, I mean, you guys know that one already. But it is a bother. Sometimes stereos can be big. Not so much stereos, more so the karaokes are kind of a bother. People banging around in the morning. Most of the people where I live know that I sleep late, so they're really kind about that. And I'm very grateful that I have great neighbors here. And when you make friends with your neighbors and they know that you're trying to sleep or whatever, and you tell them a couple of times, after that usually they're pretty decent about that, and they treat you really good, you know, because I take care of my neighbors too. I look out for my neighbors. If they need money or something, I give them money, and, you know, I help them out, and they're almost like family with me. And I don't ask them to pay me back or anything like that. Just give it to them sometimes. I give them food, things like that. I try to take care of my neighbors just like their family, because they are a family. You know, they've become like family with me. And if I ever got sick or if I ever needed help, those are the people that I would go to the most, you know. But, you know, the other thing is here that some of the things that they have here for exit clearances and stuff like that, that's another thing. For us here on the SRRV visas, now we have to get, if you're here for over a year, you have to get an exit clearance, and then you also have to get some other sort of document now. And it's probably just because of the quarantine and this mess that we're in right now. But I mean, they do tend to pass some kind of inane, crazy things every once in a while, which, you know, we have to put up with. It's the law here. But it is kind of a pain for expats here, and it's one of the things that I don't like about being here. The fact that they've almost shut down the SRRV program for so long, and for good reason, because of the Chinese sneaking 27,000 people in here. I can understand that, but I mean, they shut out even people that aren't from China. So, I mean, I just found that kind of crazy because they're just kind of, hurting themselves. Although it is during the quarantine, so that might be one of the other reasons too. There's so many people not moving about throughout the world right now. It's kind of crazy, The other thing that has bothered me over here as an expat was that I expected a better quality of expats over here. And I won't say all the expats, but I'll say, some people say it's 50%, some people say it's 20%, some people say it's 10%. I'm not sure what the percentage is, and it really doesn't matter. And I'm not talking about from the United States, I'm talking about from all over the world, because I've met them from all over the world, is that some of the expats here are just of they're just lower caliber people. I mean, some of them that I meet here, and I don't want to make it sound like, it's 80% of them, because it's not. It's way lower than 50%. It's just that when you run into them, these people tend to latch on to you, even when you're trying to get rid of them. They keep coming back sometimes. I've had a few people come back over here to my house several times. One of them was a Canadian, and it was almost impossible to get rid of this guy. I just didn't want him coming over here anymore. He just wasn't my type of person. He just was an alcoholic, and you tend to run into these guys that are either alcoholics or they're the, secret squirrel type. And those are the types you run in over here. And some of the people over here, I don't know, they're just kind of grumpy. That's the other group that you run into. They're a grumpy group. They kind of stay by themselves. They don't want to talk to nobody. That's screw the world, and that's the way they feel about it. And they're kind of hard to befriend. And actually, I don't want to befriend them anyway after meeting some of them. But I have a lot of friends here. In town here. Some of them I don't see often. I have one guy over the other side of the town. I probably see him once every 6 months. Bob is his name. I won't give his last name. And, I have some people over in Tagaytay. I don't get to see them very often. And I have my friend Brian. We go out and have a steak every once in a while with him and his wife and my girlfriend. And, we just enjoy seeing each other every once in a while, and sometimes those are the best kinds of friends to have, like people that you can just go have a steak with or a cup of coffee or something like that or whatever, and just have a good time and sit and chat for a while and catch up, and and we have plans on doing things in the future, some of us, but with everything going on, it's made everything so difficult, and I hope all this stuff changes. But those are some of the things that have changed over here and bothered me the most as an expat over here. And I'm sure others can add to that in the comments section, because there's many, many things over here that people will add, such as scammers and things like that. But I mean, I don't have that much of a problem with scammers because I have a girlfriend. As long as you have a girlfriend over here, you're not going to have many problems with scammers, because they just don't come into your life that often, and your girlfriend knows how to keep them at bay. So a lot of the guys that are bachelors, professed bachelors, and they just want to keep having a different girlfriend every week or whatever, those are the guys that are going to have the biggest problems and have the money issues and things like that the most. They're the ones who go down really fast, because they run into the worst people. The people that drink also have the biggest issues over here, I notice. I notice that a lot of the people over here don't eat right. It's a big thing over here. Some of the people commented on that a lot of guys come over here and they eat the Filipino diet, and it's not that healthy, and they're right about that. And I used to eat a New England diet with a lot of vegetables, and it's kind of hard over here to do that, because it's about finding things. Sometimes it's hard to find potatoes and carrots both at the same time. Sometimes you can find carrots, sometimes you can find potatoes, but sometimes you can't find both. And potatoes and carrots over here are a bit expensive. So to make a good stew or something like that, a New England style stew, beef stew, it's difficult. It's difficult. It's difficult to find stuff like that. The other day I was out and about, and I was in SM, and I found a whole bunch of frozen beef stews in there. And they had a whole bunch of American goods in there. They had strawberry shortcake, and they had these cauliflower and cheese things that looked like a breaded chicken fillet or something like that, but it was actually cauliflower and cheese, and they were delicious. And this whole freezer had a whole bunch of Western foods in there, and I just grabbed a whole bunch. Me and my girlfriend grabbed a bunch because it's very rare you can find all that stuff together, you know. But anyway, guys, that's my biggest expat complaints, and I hope you enjoy it, guys. And we're gonna do some more upbeat stuff in the coming days here. I know lately we've been pretty tough on the budgets and the insurance things, and a lot of people think that I'm having some sort of me versus them with the other vloggers. It's or a certain vlogger. One person mentioned. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to say that a lot of people, like we had one person mention, and I want to mention this before I end this video. We had one person mention, like, oh, I can live in Minnesota for $1,600 a month. They're talking about present day. I'm talking about if you're coming over here on my budgets, and I hate to hammer this budget stuff, but people keep talking about this. If you come over here, you have to have back home, you'll have your insurance covered by Medicaid and Medicare. And over here, you won't have that covered. So you have to have that additional on top of that $1,600 a month. Okay, so some of you guys are not including that when you're saying, oh, I live back in the United States on $1,600 a month. You're not including your insurance over here, and the costs really are not that different because when you're over here, you're going to be retired and be on vacation permanently. So you're going to want to get out and see things and do things. Maybe you won't, you know. Then you could live on the lesser part of the $2,000 to $3,000 budget, okay? But if you want to live good, you would want to live on the upper part of that. Now, only because, you know, like I have other things in there for the Forex, for the savings and things like that. But I just want to throw that out there, guys. I don't want to beat a dead horse because we've talked about that way too much, and I'm going to try to elude from that a little bit more in the coming days here so we can kind of move on from that and get into some other more important stuff, not just about healthcare, but also I want to talk about like herbs over here and also get more into foods over here and some other stuff and just the lifestyle over here and changing to become an expat over here. Those are the things I want to touch on in the future, you know, because it is a big change for a lot of people, you know, and I just want to touch on some of that stuff in the future. So we do have a lot of good videos coming up in the future. I have a whole board full of stuff on there. If you guys want to throw any ideas in the comment section on this video, feel free to do it. I'll look at them, and when I like them, I take a picture of them so it goes into my photos, and I see them when I go to look, and then it reminds me to do a video on that if I like the idea. If I like the idea, I take a picture of it. And a lot of ideas I do get from you guys, and I really welcome those. So if you guys have other ideas you want me to do videos on, feel free to put it in the comment section. I'll take a look at it, and we'll see if we can put something out there, and I'll research it for you or whatever. You know, if it's something more demanding or something, I take that as a challenge, you know. So any stuff like that, feel free to put it in there. But anyway, guys, God bless. Take care. I hope you enjoyed today's show. Thanks, guys.